Hello everyone, we are here at the Zolder circuit in Belgium, ready for the third race weekend of the new DTM season 2021. It's all new and it's so exciting. And the man who's in pole position is Marco Vittman. He's got some fans with him here, which really is, yeah, they're in good spirits obviously, and I guess you're in good spirits too, starting from pole position, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the best spot on the grid. Obviously, the fans in the background, they are really cheering all weekend long, so super nice to have them trying to put this German song. And yeah, obviously, as I said, pole position, so best spot on the grid. Really looking forward to the race.
And obviously, having fans here and having people here really motivates you guys also, right?
Yeah, it's so much. It's so good to have them back, you know, finally to have them back at the grandstands. Racing is nothing without fans, really, to be honest. It just gives the spirit back. And if you hear this in the background, obviously, I hope you can hear it. It's so good, you know. It just puts always a smile on the face. I'm really happy to have fans back.
So are we. Thank you so much. Best of luck for the race. And yeah, the guys here are definitely in good spirits, and so are we, that we're going to see an exciting race. And now here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Chris Hartley here in the commentary box, ready for what should be a really strong race here at Zolder. An interesting looking grid, and Marco Vittman, who you just heard from, the former double DTM champion, on pole position for the first time since Brands Hatch 2019. The last time Marco was on pole position, he won the race. That was his last race victory 2 years ago. Sophia Florsch on the grid, getting ready for her second race here at Zolder, and only a third weekend as a DTM driver, having had predominantly a single-seater career up until the last couple of seasons. She's one of the rookie drivers that's trying to get used to these different types of cars and making good progress. She's with a very, very strong team, a championship-winning team with Team Abt Sportsline. There is how the grid is going to shape up then. Marco Vittman in a session that was slightly curtailed at the end, which might have mixed things up a little bit. It was a great lap though from Marco with a 126.687, 2/10 clear of Lucas Au. That's the second biggest gap we've had between the top two in qualifying this year, bearing in mind it was only 21 thousandths of a second yesterday. Mike Rockenfeller with another strong qualifying performance third, the championship leader Kelvin Van Der Linde fourth, Nico Muller with a strong qualifying to go fifth, and Liam Lawson, who is second in the championship, is going to line up in sixth spot on the grid, 4 places higher up than yesterday, and hoping that he goes further in the race than he did yesterday after scoring 0 points when he got caught up in an accident. So lots to look forward to, and we can head back down to the grid now and back down to Verena.
And I'm here with Rocky, and Mike Rockenfeller is also in very good spirits. We're joking around here because obviously in his team we've got Sheldon Van Der Linde, and because everyone's always confusing him. What's your advice?
Well, in my team it's actually Kelvin.
See?
But yeah, we mix it up also. I called him Shelvin, and I don't know, many names. But of course, because it's both all the time somehow on the grid, and then you get confused. But he doesn't like it that much, but of course, you know, he has to take it.
He has to take it. I think he's got a good sense of humor. But speaking of teammate, obviously you guys are going to be fighting against each other, I guess, right?
Well, we try, first of all, to fight each one for his own goals, but of course we are one team. It's good that we are here together on the grid in the front, and I think today we have a heavy day because I have 38 kilos and he has even 7 kilos more compared to yesterday, or compared to me. So 45 compared to what we had yesterday, and that will make our life really difficult, especially in the race. So let's see what we can do. We fight hard, you know, we have the small disadvantage on the pit stops. So all these things we have to come up with an idea to overcome, and we try.
I'm sure you will, and hopefully we're going to see a good duel between you guys. Thank you so much, and we're going to go across because starting in P4, we've got the man who is leading the championship at the moment, and he's a good start ahead. So let's see what he can do from there. Kelvin Van Der Linde, hey there. We were just joking around, you guys, Sheldon and Kelvin, that everyone's confusing you, obviously, but...
Sheldon, you know, they mixed us up, you know?
We just already had that. But obviously, you're the man all eyes are on because you're leading the championship. You're starting in P4, so it's going to be a tough race, I guess, for you. But knowing you, I'm sure you're going to find your way how to somehow get to the front.
Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas. Had some time to sleep on it last night, so let's see. I think Marco's strong today. Yeah, Lucas also be strong. I have at least my teammate up front, which should help me a bit. There won't be any touching, I guess, in turn 1, so that's a nice buffer to have. It'll be tough for the 25 kilo. I mean, I'm pretty used to now having some weight in the car. So yeah, hopefully we can stay up there. My goal is a top 5 today.
All right. Oh, that's almost an understatement.
You know, sometimes you got to take the points, you know.
All right, good point. And I love your shades there. Is it decoration or do you actually wear them too?
It's more decoration, you know, it's just for the fans.
You're looking so handsome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Best of luck for the race. And now we're going to go across here because we've got Lucas here. Sorry, Lucas Auer, Andrea, sorry. And he's just getting ready, obviously. But Luki, we're just going to try to grab an interview with you because Luki obviously starting in a very good position in P2. So what are your expectations for the race?
Well, as you said, good starting position. I try to attack Marco as soon as possible. But then we have to see how much pace we have and which strategy we are doing.
All right, so hopefully we're going to see a good fight in the front. Thank you so much. And now back to the commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Yeah, great to hear from the 2013 champion, Mike Rockenfeller, the current championship leader, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and then from Lucas Auer, who's going to be on the front row of the grid. His joint best qualifying so far this season. He starts in the Team Whitman Mercedes alongside the Volkenhurst Motorsports BMW of Marco Vittman. Matt Scott's up there in the championship in 3rd place in the standings after his race victory at Lausitzring and another points finish yesterday. We'll be looking for a strong performance. He has a lighter car than yesterday because he now no longer has to carry the 25 kilograms of success ballast, which you have to carry if you won the previous race. It's 18 kilograms if you finish 2nd in the previous race and 15 kilograms if you finish 3rd. The Audis have also had an adjustment on balance of performance to try and even these different types of cars up. Balance of performance is something that's used with a very clever simulation system that's used that can measure all sorts of things like weight of the car, suspension, steering, all these types of things, and to try and equal things out, balance of performance, particularly at the start of the season when we're getting used to these different types of cars coming in and the different circuits. That can be altered from day to day, and so 20 kilograms has been added on to the Audis from yesterday's weight, plus the success ballast for yesterday's winner, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and his teammate, Mike Rockenfeller, who finished in 2nd place. Drivers getting into the cars now, but I think we've got time to hear from one more of them down with Verena.
Yeah, just a quick question to Timo. Timo, obviously, starting from the back, is your car fixed, and what are you going to do to hopefully fight your way forward?
Yeah, I mean, the car is ready to go again, but yeah, let's see. I mean, I hope the weather helps us out a bit. I think there is a bit of a cloud coming, which could make the start of the race quite interesting. So.
But the problem was what with the car?
The drive shaft broke.
All right, but it's fixed now, so
yeah.
Put on your helmet and best of luck all the way from the back. And knowing Timo, he's got some sort of ace in his sleeve. So let's get this race started. Back to you.
Well, he'll try. I mean, he's one place better off than he was yesterday. He started 20th yesterday. He starts 19th today after that drive shaft failure at the end of qualifying, because sadly we've lost today Arjun Maini. Arjun involved in that lap 1 incident yesterday, ended up in the gravel trap in his Mercedes. The team unable to get the car repaired for either qualifying or the race today. So Arjun frustratingly having to sit out this 6th round of the championship, which means we're back to 19 cars on the grid. Timo Glock with 2.5 minutes remaining in the qualifying session had that drive shaft failure, stopped out on the circuit, and the session had to be stopped, and there was no time to rerun it with, well, not really worth doing it with 2.5 minutes left to go. By the time the cars had left the pits and done a formation lap or an out lap, they wouldn't have been able to get any more lap times in, so the session was cut slightly short, much to the frustration of several drivers who were on good laps at the time, including Vincent Abril, who had set the absolute best first sector time at that point, but the lap had to be aborted because of the red flag, and he's wound up 13th on the grid. So the bright yellow Mercedes, run by Team HRT, that racing team, might well be one to watch coming through the field. So Marco Vittman on pole position for the first time in 2 years, having had his best qualifying yesterday and even better qualifying today. The race pace has been pretty good, and it's not the easiest circuit to overtake on here at Zolder. So if you can hold the lead through the first couple of corners, he'll fancy his chances of getting a race victory. It's all about to unfold here at Zolder. So we're located here to the north of Belgium, only around about a 45, 50-minute drive from the German border in this picturesque part of the country. It has an industrial past. For 60 years. There were heavy open coal mines here in this part of the world, but that has long since disappeared. The architecture and the forestry remains. You have the huge Albert Canal just at the back of the circuit as well, which runs for 130 odd kilometres all the way from Antwerp to Liège. And in amongst it, you've got, I guess, the second circuit of Belgium. Everybody knows Spa, but Zolder is a great circuit as well. It's here that we had the first ever DTM race back in 1984, and it's here that we come for the third weekend of the 2021 season. Also very, very keen on cycling in this part of the world, and World Cyclocross Championships and BMX Championships as well have been held here at Zolder. In fact, the BMX Championships, World Championships, are going to be held here later this season as well. So it's a circuit which has hosted two-wheel action, DTM action, of course, and also has hosted lots of other big events like truck racing in the past. It's an old-school circuit. It's narrow, it's undulating at points, it's a real challenge, it requires precision. We've probably seen more drivers going off the road here and going into the gravel trap this weekend than we have at either of the previous two events at Monza and the Lausitz Ring. And it's going to be great to see how this one unfolds with the championship leader a little bit further back on the grid this time. Kelvin Van Der Linde was on pole position yesterday, but starting in fourth place with a heavier car this time around. Nico Muller, I think, is going to be one to watch as well from fifth on the grid. He's, in a sense, got nothing to lose after a couple of bad rounds. And Lucas Auer, good to see him on form. The Austrian qualifying on the front row of the grid. Second place for him, with Marco Vittman's BMW ahead. A good mixture of the manufacturers involved in the top 10 as well. We've got a BMW on pole, we've got a Mercedes second, we've got three Audis, third, fourth and fifth. The Ferrari of Liam Lawson, who I'm sure is going to go for it today, because he didn't get a single point yesterday. So Liam lost a lot of ground yesterday to Kelvin Van Der Linde. He was 4 points behind him at the start of the weekend. He's 32 points behind him now, still second in the championship, but they'll want to make up some of that ground. And of course, being sixth on the grid, that means he's directly behind Kelvin Van Der Linde. In between them, last year's runner-up in the championship, Nico Muller, who had a lap time disallowed for track limits in qualifying, but still managed to get up there on the third row of the grid. Shout as well for the McLaren of JP Motorsport, who brought the car into the DTM for the first time this weekend, using this as an experimental season. They'll take part in 3 DTM race weekends, with ex-Grand Prix racer Christian Kleen doing the driving, and the Austrian has done an excellent job to get his car 7th on the grid for this one. Wasn't too far out of the points yesterday. We'll see what he can do. He's ahead of some prestigious names, including Max Gotts, who's going to start 8th, Max Book 9th, and Esme Hawkey starting in the top 10 for the first time this season. If she can stay in the top 10, she'll get her first points in the DTM. Good drive yesterday after a spin at turn 1 to get through from the back of the field up into 13th place. That was already her best result of the season. Esteban Moot might be one to watch to come through the order as well in the other T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. The only Belgian in the field. He's proven to be very good at overtaking here at Zolder yesterday. Pulled off some great moves, and he might be another one that should be higher up on the grid, but didn't quite get the lap in at the end because of that red flag in the session. So he's back in 14th place on the grid. 15th on the grid is Daniel Hunkerdare. Now, Daniel was quick as well in qualifying, but he carries a 10-place grid penalty because of the accident that he was involved in yesterday with Arjun Maini and Liam Lawson getting caught out in that one. We saw some spots of rain on the bonnet there. I did wonder if that might happen. We thought it was possibly going to happen yesterday. There was a 51% chance of some rain in yesterday's race, but it never materialised, and actually probably got a little bit better, a bit sunnier as the race went on. But you just can't tell here. You look up at the skies. We had skies like this on Friday, and 10 minutes later it was raining. Air temperature cooler than yesterday, but warmer than this morning. It's almost 19 degrees, track temperature 22, so we should again see some very quick lap times in the race, which will be 55 minutes plus 1 lap. It could be extended by a couple of laps if safety car is involved, as it was yesterday, so it could be increased to a 55-minute plus 3-lap race, but it should be 55 minutes plus 1 lap. 1 or 2 more spots of rain coming down. Not enough to unnerve everybody yet in terms of tyre choice. They'll all be on the slicks, but it will be a bit of a concern for the teams. They'll all be looking at the apps and at the weather radar info to see as and when this is going to come. Everybody has to make a mandatory stop if it were to rain, and if you could combine the mandatory stop with your stop for wet tyres, that would be the ideal. I have to say, it looks pretty bright in parts, but look at the back of the trees there, not too far in the distance to the circuit. It looks a little bit duller, doesn't it? A bit greyer. Yesterday, as has been the case in a lot of the races so far this season, early stops seem to be the order of the day. Most of the front runners in the races this year have pitted within the first 8 or 10 laps of the race. And looking at the data that we got at the end of the race yesterday, in terms of your entire pit stop, not just the time you're stationary, but your entire stop, you're slowing down into the pits, you're speeding up out of the pits, adhering to the pit lane speed limit, you are looking at best at 37 seconds to get in, have a stop, change the tyres and get out. There was one that was under that, which was Max Scott's yesterday, did a stop of overall 35.8 seconds, but around about 37, 38 seconds was the norm yesterday. The quickest actual pit stop in terms of how long the car was stationary for was Sophia Florsch and the AB Sportsline team, 6.4 seconds. Max Scott, 6.9 seconds was a quick stop as well. But generally, they're around about 7-8 seconds. Anything above that considered a slow pit stop. So on board, this is the view with Liam Lawson, the sensation, the youngest ever DTM race winner. And this, I guess, a circuit that levels things out for the rookies, because you have got the only winner on the grid that's ever won here at Zolder is the guy that won yesterday, Kelvin Van Der Linde. Nobody else in the field has ever won here at Zolder. That's mainly because it wasn't on the calendar as a regular track until 2019. And we've got a lot of new drivers in the series, so he's the only one in the field that's ever won here, and he's starting on the second row of the grid. Getting ready then for the action. Chris Hartley here trackside to talk you through round 6 of the 2021 DTM. Red lights come on, a rolling start about to get underway with Marco Vittman and Lucas Auer side by side as they go thundering over the start-finish line. It's a good start for Marco Vittman into turn 1. He's got the BMW in front of the Mercedes of Lucas Auer. It's going to be nip and tuck between the two AB Sportsline Audi teammates in 3rd and 4th, Rockenfeller and Van Der Linde. And in the background, drama already on the way through turn 1. Bit of bumping and boring, and a Vittman Abril off the road as well, and still not firing the Mercedes back up, I'm afraid. So he's out of the running. And 3rd place is Kelvin Van Der Linde. 4th place, Liam Lawson. He's had a good start. Mike Rockenfeller was going wing mirror to wing mirror with Kelvin Van Der Linde through the first turn, but came off worse. And it's the championship leader that ends up gaining the place. So it's Vittman, Auer, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and then a very good start from the 3rd row of the grid for the Ferrari driver Liam Lawson. He's there in 4th place, Rockenfeller in 5th, then it's Muller in 6th place. Gotts has had a decent start as well in 7th. He's got ahead of Christian Klein, who's in 8th place. Book and Albon rounding out the top 10. Esme Yorkie's dropped out of the top 10, but he's still not far back in 11th place. And I think Vittman Abril has got going again, but he's way down the order. He's at turn 2. The race leaders are going into turn 12 here, so they're into the 3rd sector. He's still in the 1st sector. The incident into turn 1 is under investigation, but that's of no concern to Marco Vittman, who is getting his head down here and pulling rapidly away from the 2nd place car of Lucas Auer. Sheldon Van Der Linde has not had a great start either. Maybe he was tangled up in that. Let's see if we get a replay. But Sheldon is 3 from the back of the field at the moment in 17th place. You'd expect him to be much higher up than that. But at the end of the first lap of the race, Marco Vittman with a pretty commanding lead of 1.3 seconds. Excellent start for him. Sheldon Van Der Linde has dropped behind Timo Glock now as well. So another place lost. He's down to 17th position, Sheldon. I wonder if he's got some problem with the car or some damage to the car as we go on board with Nico Muller in 6th place, holding his own here inside the top 6. And although it's got going again, it's stopped into the gravel trap, I'm afraid. Hopping out of the car rapidly is Vittman Abril, and yellow flags waving toward the drivers coming into turns 5 and 6 that there's a stationary car. So I suspect he got going again. There was damage to the car, and something's collapsed on it. I don't know, suspension, steering, maybe puncture, something like that. But he's off and he's out, Vittman Abril, and his bad luck for the season continues. So waved yellows for now, no signs of the safety car. Should go back on board with Liam Lawson, who is chasing down his big rival for the championship here. The points leader, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and the safety car is being deployed. So we got a bit further than we got yesterday before a safety car, but it is going to be another early safety car period. So safety car deployed, the Audi ready to pick up the race leader, Marco Vittman, who'll be very disappointed about this because he'd built up a nice cushion of almost a second and a half. But Vincent Abreu, well, it's funny how things have a knock-on effect, isn't it? If we hadn't had that red flag this morning, I reckon he'd have been a lot higher up the grid than he was, and then he might not have been in the trouble that he was at turn 1, and he might have still been running up the front of the field. But when you get, it just shows that qualifying is really important, not just because of the championship points you can score if you get into the top 3, but also if you're in the middle of that pack where it's a tight squeeze, you know, it's you're in the danger zone, really. Almost sometimes I think better to be at the back of the field than it is to be in the middle, because things squeeze together. You've got everybody concertinaing up from in front of you, and those with nothing to lose from the back on a bit of a charge from behind as well. So sometimes in the middle can be tricky. Let's see if we can unpick this then. Keep an eye on the yellow Mercedes. Brilliant start for Marco Vittman. Got that absolutely right on the way into turn 1. Lucas Auer knew he'd have to settle for second place. Van Der Linde, side by side with Mike Rockenfeller, got around the outside of him. And I think it was contact with Philip Ellis's Mercedes from Vincent Abreu. Ellis was on the inside, Abreu was on the outside. And here is the replay on board with Philip, and that gives his perspective of the incident. Yep, he went down the inside from a long way back, trying to overtake, trying to gain positions, and he clipped the left rear corner of Vincent Abreu's Mercedes. Rover Racing BMW having to take evasive action, and so too Sophia Flausch. In fact, both were delayed, weren't they? Sheldon Van Der Linde had to go partially through the gravel trap to avoid that, which explains why he dropped down the order. And Timo Glock had to take some evasive action as well. Abreu got going again, but not for long. Too much damage to the car, and front right tyre ripped off by the looks of it. So it was, sorry, left rear ripped off, and possibly some damage to the front suspension as well. But it was that corner that got hit, wasn't it? So I think it's a tyre off, yeah. It's really pulled him into the gravel trap. Well, there might be some more damage apart from that, but it's the tyre issue that has forced Vincent into retirement. The Marshals doing a great job as ever to get straight on the scene. They've already winched the Mercedes up, and that'll be heading back to the HRT garage. No points, I'm afraid, today for Vincent Abreu. So they've just started a new lap. It might well be, if that incident continues to be cleared up as quickly as it has been up at turn 5, that we get this back underway at the end of this lap. So Vittman leads, Auer second, Kelvin Van Der Linde gaining a position up to 3rd, Liam Lawson gaining 2 places up to 4th, Mike Rockenfeller slipping back 2 to 5th, Nico Muller staying in the top 6, Max Gott's gaining in 7th, Christian Klein slipping back a little in 8th place, Maximilian Buch running in 9th position. Max started on the 5th row of the grid, so he's held station. And then Hawkey in 10th, Albon 11th, and Esteban Moot in 12th place. It'll be one to watch here. So he's made a bit of ground already. Devgor 13th, Daniel Hunkedare has made up 1 in 14th, Philip Ellis back in 15th, but under investigation for this incident into turn 1. Very good reactions from the drivers in and around to avoid this. Yeah, just couldn't slow the car down in time. He went for the move. I don't think he was trying to overtake Vincent Abreu. He was trying to overtake Daniel Hunkedare, but he just went a bit too hot in. Lost the car before he got to Vincent Abreu's Mercedes, which acted as a brake, and Vincent didn't know much about that, wouldn't have seen that coming at all. So very unfortunate for the Monegasque driver, who has to spend the rest of the race, unfortunately, as a spectator. Starting to wonder when his luck changes, because he's obviously a very quick driver and a very capable driver who hasn't got as many points as he would have liked, particularly after that subsequent disqualification from Monza from the podium finish that he thought he'd got. So teams watch on, wait for the restart to come, which hopefully is going to be in the not too distant future. It's going to be one more lap behind the safety car though. So it should be increased this to a 55-minute plus 3 lap race now. Obviously, they're saving on tyres here, but that didn't mean they didn't come in to make pretty early stops yesterday. That was the case coming in on lap 7, lap 8 for a lot of the drivers. Some opted to stay out for a long time. Max Boog was one of them, but that ploy hasn't worked at all this year. It's been the early stoppers that have got the best results. Remember the top 3 from yesterday carrying the success ballast with heavier cars then, so, and the weight added to the Audis, as we've heard as well from Mike Rockenfeller. Confirmation that the safety car is coming in on this lap. Philip Ellis, who might have a bit of damage to the front right of the Mercedes, but he's staying out there, and the crowd getting ready in the grandstands for the restart. With the sun now coming back out, it's a bit breezy here, so it's blowing the clouds along quite rapidly this weekend.
Copy.
Team radio for your race leader, who's getting ready to lead them back into battle here, Marco Vittman. The message, the signal from the teams that the safety car is coming in, and from race control, ready for the formation restart.
2 for restart. Copy.
So we get back underway. Apologies, we just lost the audio for a few seconds there, but we're back with you now as we get the restart underway. Not a good restart for Kelvin Van Der Linde or Nico Muller, who's gone through the gravel trap there, and he's dropping back in the Team Rosberg Audi. Great restart though for Marco Vittman. Hour is second, and Liam Lawson is ahead of his championship rival and into third place. Fourth now for Kelvin Van Der Linde. He's tucked in just in front of his teammate Mike Rockenfeller, who was behind him all the way through the race yesterday. And then it's Max Gotts just ahead of Christian Klein. You've got Gotts kicking up the dust on the way to turn 4. Philip Ellis might have been involved in that again. He's looking down the inside, not deterred by the move from earlier. He's trying to get up the inside of Dev Gore in the background. There's Christian Klein in the gold and black McLaren, doing a terrific job here so far on the number 15 machine. And there is Esme Hawkey trying to get up the inside here of the Mercedes of Max Gotts, trying to go around the outside of him, and that's going to be absolutely tight, but the curbs will be used, and she will be through and up ahead. So that's a good move to get up into what should be 9th place now for Esme Hawkey. Meanwhile, front runners come through, weaving their way through the next of the chicanes here. It was up ahead of Hunkadea rather than Book. And there you can see that Esteban Moot is starting to make progress as well. He's onto the tail of the Ferrari of Alex Albon, who finished 3rd yesterday, but carries this 15 kilograms of extra success ballast. End of the first lap, we've got Christian Klein into the pits. Marco Vittman doing what he did on the original start, leading comfortably. He's around about 1.3 seconds clear. So Christian Klein, the only one that's bailed for the pits at the end of the first lap of the restart. He comes in, and he's going to be a long way down the order, around about 37, 38 seconds to come in, stop, change your tyres, and get back out again. So Vittman leads Auer 2nd, Lawson 3rd, Kelvin Van Der Linde 4th, Mike Rockenfeller 5th, Max Gotts 6th, Max Book 7th, Alex Albon, Esteban Moot, and Nico Muller up next. Esme Hawkey 11th, having got past Daniel Hunkadea, having lost the place as well. And we've got Christian Klein out now, with a good looking stop from the JP Motorsport team, getting the McLaren back on track. He'll have a clear track here to be able to get some quick lap times in once he gets those tyres up to temperature, but he's got to make the tyres last for a very long time at the end of the race, although degradation wasn't that bad yesterday. Replay of all the action, but the McLaren was actually sent off with a bit of contact with Alex Albon through the chicane. There wasn't room for everybody to fit. It wasn't a big drama, but he did have to take to the curbs there. That was before Christian came in and made his tyre stop. His mandatory stop now complete. Marco Vittman leads, Auer 2nd, Lawson 3rd. Then Kelvin Van Der Linde edging back away from Mike Rockenfeller, who's got Max Gotts breathing down his neck a little bit. Watch for the two yellow, white and grey Rover Racing BMWs as well. One of them's got into the pits, which is Timo Glock, following Daniel Ancadea's Grupa M Mercedes. So they come in fairly early, nose to tail. Sophia Florsch coming in as well. Sophia sometimes makes longer runs at the start of the race and has late pit stops, but she's coming in early this time. That, I think, is the best thing to do. So in they come to make their mandatory stops. It should be Daniel Ancadea that gets out first, I think. Sophia Florsch has got a bit further to go down the pit lane before she is released. Out they go. Decent looking stop from the Rover Racing squad as well to get Timo Glock back out, and they'll both stay ahead of Sophia Florsch as she is released back onto the circuit with just under 42 minutes plus 3 laps of the race to go. Marco Vittman just about a 10th quicker than Lucas Auer on the previous lap, so the gap went out to almost 1.4 seconds. But Lucas pretty much holding on to him. He's 1.1 seconds clear of Liam Lawson in third. BMW leads Mercedes, leads Ferrari, leads Audi, with Kelvin Van Der Linde there, number 3. Closing back up possibly to Liam Lawson here. Liam's free of success ballast. It's a much heavier Audi for Kelvin Van Der Linde to deal with, and that will have an effect on the tyre degradation as well, I'm sure. Rockenfeller playing rear gunner once again, keeping Max Scotts at bay for now. Back on board with Esteban Moot in 9th place in the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. As we get more visitors into the pits, including Lucas Auer from 2nd place and Max Scotts from 6th place coming in as well. So they go for the early stops. That means Liam Lawson, for the time being, will move up to 2nd place. Kelvin Van Der Linde will move up to 3rd. Mike Rockenfeller will be 4th. And Max Spook up to 5th place. So the 22 machine having its tyres changed. Team Winwood get Lucas Auer back out. And he stays in front. Stationary time was very good for Max Scotts as well, for the Team HRT squad, who had the best pit stop yesterday. It was the AF Corsa squad, with a few tricks that they got that were the masters of pit stops at Monza, but everybody else seems to have caught them up. So the race continues on. Marco Vittman leads, and we've got some news down in the pits with Verena.
Yes, and I'm here with Vince Abril. And Vince, what exactly happened? We couldn't quite figure it out.
Yeah, well, obviously when we start that further back, you're exposed to these kind of things, but you know, there was no way to go in the inside. We were all bunched up in the inside of the first corner, and then I got a massive hit from behind. I don't really know from who, but yeah, it's these races when you start from the back, it's impossible to recover. It's a shame about qualifying this morning. We definitely had the pace to be on the front row. It was, you know, purple in the beginning of the lap, so it's frustrating how your weekend can go from great to bad, but we have the pace, so it's positive.
It's always a big shame when the race ends for you. It's a little loud at the moment, obviously. It kind of looked in the slow-mo as if you were slowing down, but I guess that wasn't the fault. You didn't have a technical issue or anything. It was just you got a hard push.
No, I just got a big hit, and then from then it was over. So, yeah.
It's just bad luck, I guess.
Yeah, new opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vince, and back to you.
Yeah, I do feel really sorry for Van der Linde, because it could have been a very different day today, as I said, with that red flag in qualifying. Now, you're on board with the driver that hit him, Philip Ellis, and he is going to be given a drive-through penalty for causing that collision. So Ellis has got a drive-through penalty to serve. He's already out of the points in 12th place, but that's probably going to ruin his chances of getting in the top 10, although Philip's a really quick driver, so you can never quite rule it out. Pulled off some really good moves so far this year, but that was one that didn't quite come to fruition. And it was to the cost of Van der Linde as he tries to find a way past Dev Gore now, who is getting quicker and quicker in these cars. They're running 11th and 12th currently. So with the pit stops that we've had, Sheldon Van Der Linde has got back into the points into 10th place, 9th Hawkey, 8th Muller, 7th Moot, Albon 6th, Book 5th, Rockenfeller 4th, and then your top 3, Kelvin Van Der Linde 3rd, Liam Lawson 2nd, and Marco Vittman 3.6 seconds clear now, but into the pits. And into the pits as well come Dev Gore and Philip Ellis. Rockenfeller's in as well, and Max Book has come in also. Remember, Philip Ellis has also got the drive-through penalty, which he can't. He's got to do a mandatory stop and a drive-through penalty, which is going to ruin his race, really. Might get helped out if there's another safety car. So Esteban Moot in the T3 Motorsport car being changed. There's Marco Vittman's out and clear, so he goes through. Where will he rejoin in relation to Lucas Auer? It's going to be the next question. Lucas in 13th place, the leading pit stopper currently, with Gotts just behind him, and then Unkadea. And that looks like Lukey now. He's going to just about squeeze out in front of him. So Marco Vittman just out in front of the Mercedes, but Lucas Auer's got a chance now to pounce with his tyres up to temperature. He knows this is his opportunity. He's got more grip. The BMW, with the tyres getting up to speed, runs a little bit wide. You've got no tyre warming devices allowed in DTM. So it's all about the driver now defending here and making that BMW even bigger and even wider than it already is, which he's doing here, showing his nose, just twitching around, dancing around in the wing mirrors was Lucas Auer, but he can't find a way through. So Marco Vittman, the virtual race leader, he's the leading driver that's made a stop. Second Auer and third of the pit stoppers. Right with them now is Max Gotts, who's already been a race winner this year, made a victory in the DTM, the last event at the Lausitz ring, picking up on the misfortunes of Kelvin Van Der Linde, who had that technical problem. So Kelvin now picks up the lead of the race, but has yet to pit. Albon in second, Muller in third. They haven't been in. We've got Liam Lawson in the pits, though, so he's going to be the next one to keep an eye on, see where he emerges in all of this. Sheldon Van Der Linde is the only other one that hasn't been in the pits. We've got Esme Hawkey in as well.
We'll be fighting for position at fifth exit, fighting for position with fifth exit.
So there comes Vittman, Auer and Gotts. And coming down the pit lane is the Ferrari of Liam Lawson. I'm not sure he's quite going to get there. I reckon he's going to slot in just behind Gotts by the time he gets up to speed. Here they come, Vittman through, Auer through, Gotts through. Yeah, just behind Gotts. He'll have slightly fresher tyres at the end of the race, but not by much. So he is fourth, a net fourth at the moment. Ellis is a net fifth, but he's still got to come in and make another pit stop. So he's not involved in this lead battle, realistically, because he's got this drive-through penalty, plus his mandatory stop that he has to serve. So Marco Vittman, the virtual race leader, the actual race leader. Kelvin Van Der Linde, though, and how's his lap times looking? He's just done a 1:28.6. His best is a 1:28.4. He needs to get some good laps in here, Kelvin Van Der Linde. If he can stretch his advantage, if he can have a good pit stop, they might just be able to get him out up front. Philippe Ellis being shadowed by the blue and white Mercedes of Philippe Ellis, the former Audi TT Cup champion. And Kelvin's into the pits, so Van Der Linde makes his way into the pits as the Marco Vittman, Lucas Auer, Max Gotts train makes its way towards the end of the lap. They're just coming down towards the final chicane.
Pit lane
to make his
free.
stop. Van Der Linde. Decent looking stop from the AB Sportsline team, who are well versed in all of this. It wasn't stationary for long, and he's going to slot in behind them, and I think he might still be behind Liam Lawson as well, probably behind Philippe Ellis, although that's not going to be an issue. We'll see, or maybe not. He might just squeeze out in front of Liam. It's going to be tight, but I think Liam's there, isn't he? Just, yes, Liam Lawson there. Kelvin Van Der Linde's heart will sink. At least he's kept Philippe Ellis behind, but he runs deep into the corner, and Philippe's going to get through in the Mercedes. But remember, he's got this penalty to serve as well. Kelvin will know that, but he will have wanted to come out just in front of Lawson. It almost worked, but not quite. But again, he'll have slightly fresher tyres at the end of the race. But again, he's got this extra weight on the car to carry, 25 kilograms for winning the race, plus the 20 kilograms that we're hearing has been added on for BOP. So it's going to be tough work for him. Alex Albon picks up the lead of the race. He hasn't yet been into the pits. Nico Muller second, Sheldon Van Der Linde third. They're the only three drivers yet to make their mandatory pit stop. So they're trying something slightly different here with 33.5 minutes to go. Max Gotts then looks like he's got good pace at the moment. Hanging on to Lucas Auer. Definitely pulled away from Liam Lawson, who's a bit relieved that he managed to just stay ahead of Kelvin Van Der Linde, because he needs to start taking some points back away from him. You've got the number 8 Daniel Hungadea car being shadowed by the art-liveried Lamborghini of the only Belgian driver in the field, Esteban Moot. And they're looking to get themselves into the points. They're at the points at the moment, but with drivers still to pit, I think gain at least one. Nico Muller should get back out ahead of them. Not sure about Alex Albon, though, and I'm not sure about Sheldon Van Der Linde when he makes his stop. The gap third to fourth is currently around about 25 seconds, and it's 37 to make a stop. If we had 37 seconds onto the time of Alex Albon, he would re-emerge in around about 12th place as it stands. But his lap time's pretty good. His last lap, Alex, was 1:28.285. He seemed to be able to look after the tyres well yesterday as well. We've just had the absolute best first sector time, though, for Marco Vittman, who's the virtual leader in 4th place, the first of the pit stoppers that's been in and made his stop. Over the crest there, you've got Esteban Moot with the onboard camera now, a 19-year-old Belgian, onto the tail of Daniel Ancadea, who's covering off his line. You can see the Lambo is quicker, but the Mercedes has got track position. And Daniel Ancadea putting it in exactly the right spot. But Esteban Moot is one driver that's been able to find his way through on several occasions this weekend. So I wouldn't put it past him to have a go here. He's fired up. Great drive for him yesterday through to 6th place. Because teammate Esme Hawkey going well as well. Absolute best second sector for Marco Vittman. He's about to get the fastest lap of the race here in the BMW, which is why he's pulling away from Lucas Auer. He was 1.2 seconds clear of Auer on the previous lap. It's going to be a bigger gap when he comes through and crosses the line. Having had personal best sector times and absolute best sector times. It's not quite the best lap of the race, but it's his best lap of the race, 1:27.491. And that was half a second quicker than Lucas Auer last time around. So the gap between the two of them, the top two pit stoppers, is now 1.7 seconds. So it's a very good lap for Marco Vittman. That's those huge windmills and the industrial buildings in the background to the circuit there. The onboard camera from Esteban Moot, still can't find a way past Daniel Ancadea. So there's Philip Ellis, who in the 57 Mercedes is 8th at the moment, but with 3 cars ahead in the top 3 still to make their pit stops, and with another visit to the pits imminent for Philip. But he's just going to push on as hard as he can. And a familiar sight, Mike Rockenfeller shadowing Kelvin Van Der Linde. There's been nothing between these two all weekend long. Mike, who was 2nd here yesterday, he's had a podium here last year as well, Mike Rockenfeller, so it goes well around this circuit. Also going well in the background, look, catching them up is the number 18 Mercedes of the German driver Maximilian Buch, experienced GT racer now. He's with the Muka Motorsport team, had the home race at Landsberg last time out, the Berlin-based squad. Not as close to the circuit as T3 Motorsports, who are also would count Landsberg as their home track. And Mike Rockenfeller just showing his nose here. He's got a lighter car with less success ballast on board than his teammate. And here's Esteban Moot having a big look down the inside of Daniel Ancadea on the way to turn 1. He's got a long side. Right-hander coming up, though. Ancadea knows it, but Moot is through. Brilliant drive. So he just carried the speed, stayed around the outside. And he's great to watch, isn't he, Esteban Moot? That was a terrific move. So another one in the books. He's pulled off 4 or 5 really good moves so far this weekend. And I think that was just about the best of them. Hardly seen anybody overtaking to turn 1. He just got hit in the line and was enough to unsettle the Mercedes. He had to just skip out of the way, and once he got off the line, Ancadea just lost that little bit of grip, traction, and eventually position. So Esteban Moot probably is going to be released now. We'll fly after the next car up the road. His next target is going to be Maximilian Buch. He's 11th on the road at the moment, but with, remember, the top 3 yet to make their stops. Alex Albon's last lap time, a 1:28.6, was a little bit off. That's 4/10 slower than his best. But Nico Muller's looking after the tyres well. He's just done a 1:28.1 as the AB Sportsline team that run Kelvin Van Der Linde and Mike Rockenfeller and Sophia Florsch watch on. And Sophia getting on at the moment. Not just through the first set, she just comes through now. Sector time looks pretty good actually, 32.5, but she's currently in 18th position. She was one of the early stoppers, so she's trying to catch up to Dev Gore, who in turn is trying to catch up to Christian Kleen, who's dropped down the order, but had that early pit stop, which doesn't seem to have paid off for him. He was running in the points early on and came into the pits for his mandatory stop at the end of the first lap of the restart. So Moot the only one to gain a position on that lap with that terrific move on Daniel Ancadea up to 12th position. And what's his lap times are now flying. I thought that he might be released. He was definitely being held up by Ancadea, and he's just done personal best and absolute best sector time. So Moot last time around, his best lap of the session, 1:27.6. was the quickest driver on the track. Nobody quicker than Esteban Moot at the moment. So the Lamborghini flying, he's going to try to catch up to Max Buch's Mercedes. At the moment, he's 1.8 seconds behind, but the gap coming down all the time. Marco Vittman, the virtual race leader, 4th overall, 1.5 seconds clear now of Lucas Auer. So the gap started to come back down a little bit. He was flying away at one point, but Lucas started to chip back away at the gap. It's come from almost 2 seconds down to 1.5 seconds now. Ching, Alex Albon, the race leader, with Nico Muller 0.8 of a second behind, and Kelvin Van Der Linde in 3rd, but they've all still got to make their pit stops. And at the moment, it would put them on the fringes of the points if they were to come in. But the lap time's still pretty good. 1:28.3 for Albon, so that was better. That was only, well, it was less than 1/10 of a second better, worse than his best lap of the session. Muller did a 1:28.5, and Kelvin Van Der Linde did a 1:28.2 as well. So their pace is good. They're making the tyres work, and there's no reason for them to come in yet. Nobody really is catching them that much, other than Esteban Moot, who's a bit further down the pack anyway. But remember, they need to make a decision as to how long you want to use your new tyres for. You come in right at the end of the race for the new tyres, and they're 1/2 second quicker than everybody else. That's great, but you've not got time to use the advantage. So I think they'll be thinking of coming in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I would have thought. There's Marco Vittman looking for his first win for 2 years, since the last time he was on pole position at Brands Hatch. BMW being caught a little bit again, though, on that lap by the Mercedes of Lucas Auer, who's got the gap down to 1.3 seconds. So last time a 1:28.1 for Marco, 1:27.9 for Lucas, and 1:28.1 for Gotts, and a 1:27.9 for Lawson. So Lawson is catching a little bit up to the pink Mercedes of Max Gotts as well. He's left behind Philip Ellis now, who is still ahead on the road of the number 3 car of your championship leader, Kelvin Van Der Linde, for his 3rd win of the season. And for another top 4 finish if he can. There's tremendous consistency so far for Kelvin, that combined with the race wins and the good performances in qualifying, which have added up points as well, has got this now commanding lead. So, vibration there being reported by Liam Lawson to get the replay. Car was quick on the last lap, though, as I say, 1:27.9. That's Van Der Linde on the team radio, I think, as the graphic pops back up. But the time is okay last time through for Kelvin. He did a 1:28.5, he did a 1:28.3 before that. So it's not blisteringly quick, but you'd expect that with a car which has had quite a bit of weight added to it. Kelvin, not out of the top 4 in any one race yet. His worst results, a couple of 4th place finishes, 2 wins, and another podium he's had. Great consistency, and he's looking like he's going to get another top 5, top 6 finish. Now, Lucas Auer under investigation. Infringement of Article 30.3. Which I can't tell you what that is off the top of my head. Digging out the PDF copy of the rule book, which can be quite hard to do while I'm commentating. So that has been looked at, under investigation. No further notices yet. That'll be a slight concern for Lucas and for the team. Philip Ellis is bringing a bit of a bottleneck up now with Kelvin Van Der Linde, Mark Rockefeller, Max Buch, and catching, well, he's caught them up now, is Esteban Moot in the art-liveried black and white T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. So Esteban was a couple of seconds adrift on Max Buch. He's now with him. And we know that Esteban is not really shy in coming forward. If there's an opportunity, I reckon he's probably going to take it. To go back on board with him as he shadows his next target now. Albon, Muller and Kelvin Van Der Linde all staying out. And there's Marco Vittman heading through the shot with the gap back to Lucas Auer at the moment, 0.9 seconds. He's taken a little bit more time out of him. So he's pushing on again, is Lucas Auer, and I think he's bringing Max Gotts with him. What's Max's time like last time around? At 1:27.9, so that was a good lap from Max. So 2nd and 3rd, virtual 2nd and 3rd, catching the virtual race leader, Liam Lawson, sort of hanging on to them, but not really catching them as such. But as soon as they start to battle each other, I think he'll be there as well. And the message comes up of a 5-second penalty for Lucas Auer. So 5-second penalty. It's a pit stop violation. And I think we might be about to find out what it was exactly with the replay. But 5 seconds is going to be added onto Lucas's time at the end of the race. I think it's from the team rather from the driver. You see the number of personnel out on the tyres, which has caused some other drivers and teams penalties already this year as they get to grips with the new regulations. So I think that's probably what it is. And so without digging the rule book out, I can't be more precise than that. I think that's an estimated guess as to what it is. Esteban Muter's got ahead of Max Buch as well, so that puts him up to 11th on the road. Next target for him, Mike Rockenfeller. And you can see Kelvin Van Der Linde getting a bit frustrated here that he can't find a way past Philip Ellis. Now, Philip's not a back marker, so he hasn't got to wave him through, but Philip does realise that he's, you know, he's got these 2 pit stops in total to make, one for his mandatory stop, which he's done, and one for the drive-through penalty, which he hasn't done yet. So it is, or which he has done, he's still got to make the mandatory stop, but he hasn't got to wave them through. But Kelvin definitely getting frustrated here, and Esteban Muter ready to pounce. So Mike Rockenfeller, who yesterday had to fend off a Ferrari for his teammate, now has to fend off a Lamborghini, because Esteban is the quickest driver in this group, that's for absolute certain. 21 minutes, 20 seconds to go, and Mike Rockenfeller defending on the way into the final chicane. He's almost been pushed through the left, through the right by the Lamborghini. He's absolutely flying here as he comes out of the Jackie X chicane, flashing the lights now to try and unsettle the 2013 champion. That won't happen. Mike's seen it all before. It's his 195th race in the DTM, so he won't be worried about that. But Esteban wants to come through here and gain 1, 2, maybe 3 more places. See if he can get himself up in the top 6 again like he did yesterday. So Esteban charging in this 5.2 litre, naturally aspirated Lamborghini Huracan. Here's a replay of how he got ahead of Max Buch, and whoa, it was good on the brakes again, wasn't it? That was brave stuff. Another great move from Esteban. Terrific drive so far in his 6th ever DTM race. Selected GT4 races last year. He's done a bit of Japanese Formula 3. He's raced in the Blancpain GT Cup, a bit of Formula Renault Euro Cup, this one weekend at Monza. But his only real sort of full campaign was 3 years ago in 2018 when he was a front runner in the French Formula 4 Championship. So he's not exactly well versed in touring cars or GT cars. He's just a naturally gifted driver, former Belgian karting champion. And here we go, Philip Ellis has got Kelvin Van Der Linde trying to come around the outside of him now. That's not going to work. Mike Rockenfeller keeping Esteban Muter at bay for now, and Max Buch watching it all go on from just behind. Philip Ellis keeping an eye on the mirrors, Mike Rockenfeller keeping an eye on his mirrors, because Esteban trying this way then that to get that Lamborghini ahead as they come out of the final chicane at Jackie X Bocht. It's allowing others like Daniel Hungadea to catch up in the background as well. Esme Hawkey, another Lamborghini, might get involved in this battle as well. So at the moment, Philip Ellis leads this train of cars. He's in 8th place, but you've got the top 3 on the road. Albon, Muller and Sheldon Van Der Linde still to make their pit stops. And here we go, here we go, here we go. As he squeezed through, yes, through he's gone. Tight to the inside, more grip, more traction out of the corner. Muter goes through, up ahead of Rockenfeller. Another great move. And you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to home right in onto the tail of the next Audi of Kelvin Van Der Linde, because he is absolutely steaming along at the moment. He's already left Mike Rockenfeller behind. So Esteban Muter now to 10th place on the road. And it could be a net 7th, depending on where the top 3 come out. I think he just clipped the curb a little bit on the way into turn 1, Mike Rockenfeller. But it was super move, that, wasn't it, from Esteban on the way into turn 2. Threw it onto the grass. Dipped down the inside, side-by-side through the corner, and it was still side-by-side through the apex, through to the next corner, but he got the line, he got the grip, and he stayed through. This is how it looked from Esteban's point of view. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He knew eventually the gap would open up, and he just threw it down the inside. It's almost like a karting move, that. Really good stuff from Esteban Muter. And sure enough, he's glued himself straight onto the tail of his next target, Kelvin Van Der Linde. Kelvin will get really worried now, because he knows that Philip Ellis might not be a problem in terms of points today, but Esteban Muter could take valuable championship points away from him if it keeps this up. And he just cannot find a way past the Mercedes of the Swiss driver. So now he's got to keep an eye on the mirrors. He didn't really have to do that before with Mike Rockenfeller behind him, but now he absolutely does. And Esteban getting ready for another charge. They're 9th and 10th on the road. Number 3, Kelvin Van Der Linde. Number 10, Esteban Moot. But it's likely going to be higher up in the top 10 once the front runners make their stops. Alex Albon is just under 0.8 of a second clear of Nico Muller at the head of the pack. 3 seconds behind them, Kelvin Van Der Linde, all to make their pit stops. If you add 37 seconds to the time of Alex Albon, he's going to come out in about 8th place as he goes for it again. And Esteban Moot this time will have to go around the outside of Kelvin Van Der Linde. Kelvin's not going to make life easy. Keeps his Audi ahead. There's a bit of contact there. Slight bit of damage to the front right corner of the Lamborghini. But Kelvin Van Der Linde just dug his heels in there and said, no, you're not coming around the outside of me. I'm not having that. I need these points. I've got a championship to fight for. And you can try it, Sunshine, but I'm going to put my car on the line and I'm going to stay on the line. But how good was this? Absolutely nose to nose as they went in parallel through the chicane. And that was just sheer determination from Kelvin Van Der Linde. No way, you're not coming through. Esteban Moot. All that 19-year-old spirit and vim and vigour. It's served him well so far, but the higher up the order you get, the harder it becomes. So, can he get another chance here? Already homing back in as they make their way through turn 2 and turn 3. As your on-the-track race leader, Alex Albon, off the back of his podium finish yesterday, carrying the 15 kilograms of success ballast as a result. Muller very much holding on to him, though. 16 minutes and change remaining. Sheldon Van Der Linde in the background, 3rd. But yeah, as I say, around about 37 seconds for an in, a stop, and an out, and that is going to put Albon and Muller. They would rejoin behind Lawson, but probably just in front of Philip Ellis and Kelvin Van Der Linde as it stands. Lap times are slowing up for them a little bit now. 1:28.9 for Albon and 1:28.6 for Muller. So they're not terrible, but they're definitely going off the boil a little bit. That said, they're still quicker than most drivers out there, mostly in the mid-1:29s. Right, Kelvin Van Der Linde has fallen away from Philip Ellis now a little bit because he's more worried about defending from Esteban Moot in this very interestingly liveried Never Give Up livery. And through he comes to complete another lap. It's not quite close enough to attack into turn 1 and 2. Keep an eye on Esme Hawkey in the background as well. In the other T3 Motorsport Lamborghini, the rocket bat machine is now right onto the tail of Max Gotts. So she's looking for her first points in the championship at the moment. She's 14th, but that could easily be promoted a place or two, depending on what happens with the top 3 once they make their pit stops. But she's probably going to have to overtake a couple of cars, I would say, to get into the top 10. She'll know that. She'll want to get these first points in the bag because this is at least one circuit she has at least visited before. She'd raced at Monza before, but in a Porsche a few years ago on an away day for the Porsche Carrera Cup GB. She's not raced at Lausitzring before. She's raced here before, but in a single-seater in the W Series. Right, we're getting ready for a pit stop, and it comes from 2nd place, Nico Muller. So I reckon he's going to come out somewhere around Philip Ellis and Kelvin Van Der Linde if it all goes well for Nico with the stationary time at around about 7 to 8 seconds. He can stop. Away he goes, sticks to the pit lane speed limit, and we'll see where he emerges. He's going to have fresh tyres, but hard to overtake here, as we know. And through goes Liam Lawson. So in the background, just coming out of the last corner, lucky's that battle with Philip Ellis and Kelvin Van Der Linde, who's going to be in front of them, I think. Which should be good news for Nico Muller. Should be well in front of them. He's still got to get the tyres up to temperature. They're just going through turn 1 now. He rejoins, and he's, 3 or 4 seconds clear of Philip Ellis. That's been a good stop, good timing. And so he's in the mix now for a good result here. He started 6th. He was running in the top 6 before he came in, or before the others came in. But Sophia Florsch, I'm afraid, is out of the race, parked up in the garage. And after problems with the car during the course of the Lausitzring race weekend, I'm afraid the Gremlins have struck again. So not a lucky couple of weeks, I'm afraid, for Sophia. She is out of the race, joining Vincent Abril on the list of retirements. Arjun Maini, a non-starter, so we've got 17 cars left in the race. He's a virtual leader, Marco Vittman. Lucas Ahrens 2nd, but carrying a 5-second penalty. and then just behind as they go through the shop, Gotts, and then Lawson follows, and then you've got Nico Muller, who's made his pit stop now, tucking in front of Philip Ellis. Albon's coming to the pits as well now, so that just leaves Sheldon Van Der Linde to make his stop. So Alex should come out somewhere around Nico Muller, because he was just in front of him by about 0.7 of a second when Nico came in on the previous lap. So he ought to be in front of Philip Ellis as well. Here's Nico just over the line. Nico Muller, the next one into turn 1 at the top of your picture. Alex Albon coming out, but Muller, I think he's going to get there. He's going to gain the place effectively, and that's good news for last year's championship runner-up, the Swiss driver. Ahead, he was 0.7 behind. I'd say he's a couple of seconds up now, so that's worked out well for him. And for the runners behind, if they manage to get past Philip Ellis, no. Philip Ellis still in front of Kelvin Van Der Linde, but I think Kelvin is still, just in front of Esteban Muth. So the Team Rosberg man coming through the shot. Nico Muller ahead now of the AlphaTauri AF Corsa Ferrari of Alex Albon, who's got clear track, like yesterday when he came out right behind Mike Rockenfeller and got stuck behind him for the rest of the race. But he has lost that track position. So Sheldon Van Der Linde leads, but once he makes his stop, he's going to come out somewhere close to his brother, I think in 8th or 9th, 7th, 8th position, somewhere like that. So he's the last one to come in. Will he go right to the end of the race, or is he going to come in soon? He's coming now. So Sheldon Van Der Linde, the last of the pit stoppers. Pretty good start, I would say, for the Rover Racing squad. He got away well, no stall. Here's Kelvin Van Der Linde, still with his mirrors full of Esteban Muth and Mike Rockenfeller just behind there, coming out of the final chicane. So Muller goes through. Then you've got Albon going through. Ellis might just squeeze through. He's going to come in right in front of his brother, I think. Here, Sheldon Van Der Linde. Yeah, just in front of Kelvin Van Der Linde. So that's worked out well for him as well. He's made that strategy work, but he's got to fend off his brother now, and he's got to fend off Esteban Muth, and maybe Mike Rockenfeller, who's got up the inside of Esteban here as they make their way out of turn 3 and turn 4, but Mike didn't quite make it through. So Sheldon Van Der Linde has to make the BMW wide now, and after the start to the race that he had, avoiding that accident with Vincent Abril and Philip Ellis going through the gravel trap, he's come out of this in a really good position here. So that strategy, I think it's the first time somebody's made a late pit stop and it's really worked. Muller, you can say the same for him as well. But he's got to fend off his brother for now. They live together in Kempton, just a few miles from the factory, from the team base at Abt and Sheriff Flat, two brothers from Johannesburg, 25 years of age, Kelvin Van Der Linde, 21 years of age, Sheldon Van Der Linde. Sheldon with more DTM experience, but Kelvin with more experience of these types of GT car. So great battle we've got here between 6, 7, 8 cars, all squabbling away. Marco Vittman then resumes the lead of the race now that everybody's been into the pits. He's 0.7 of a second clear of Lucas Sauer. Max Gotts is third. He's only 0.6 of a second back on the Austrian. And then you've got Liam Lawson fourth, Nico Muller in 5th place, Alex Albon in 6th, and then Philip Ellis 7th, but he's got to go in the pits again. Sheldon Van Der Linde, he's going to be next up in 8th, Kelvin 9th, and Esteban Muth should be in 10th place when they come through. So that's how it is at the moment. What is life like, though, watching all of this from the sidelines, from the pit wall? Let's find out with Verena.
Well, knowing Thomas Biermeier, he's always really fevering along. So, Thomas, the story with Sophia's car, what's the story behind it? What was the problem?
She mentioned on the radio long brake pedals, so we decided, because of safety issue, we decided to stop the race.
Very unfortunate, but in regards to Kelvin, we just saw a really cool duel there, but knowing you, I mean, your nerves are you're always feeling along. What do you think, can he still manage in the race, Kelvin?
We have to try to survive, to score some points. Wasn't our race today, but maybe go home with some little points.
The race is not over yet.
This is true.
Best of luck, Thomas. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Thomas Biermeier there, the team principal for Autosportsline. So long brake pedal, fading brakes for Sophia Florsch, in on safety grounds and out of the race, I'm afraid. And in terms of the other cars, well, she's going to get some points here, that's for sure, with Kelvin Van Der Linde, maybe with Mike Rockenfeller, but Mike is 11th at the moment, just outside the points and behind Esteban Moot, who it's not going to be easy to overtake. And then you've got Max Book in 12th, Daniel Hungadea back ahead of Esme Hawkey, 13th. Hawkey in 14th place now. Christian Klein 15th. Timo Glock's had a tough weekend, 16th place. Dev Gore 17th, the last of the runners. 7.5 minutes plus 3 laps to go with the race distance. Extended due to the safety car by a couple of laps. And a good weekend all round for Alex Albon as well. That podium yesterday. More good points today in 6th position. He's done well. Remember, he's getting used to these types of car as well. And Zolder, a new circuit for Alex as well. He wouldn't have come across this place before in Formula 3 or Formula 2 or the European Formula 3 Championship or Formula Renault. We're going to replay now of cars running a bit wide, especially Esteban Moot, who hops and skips up in the air. Takes a wild ride in his pursuit of Kelvin Van Der Linde. That's coming out of turn 1, over the curbs, holds the inside line, and that's Timo Glock off the road, but rejoining. So a spin for Timo. He gets going again. That's down at turn 9. So he's had all sorts of trouble this weekend. He was off the road in free practice on Friday. He had the car stop in qualifying this morning with a drive shaft, and just rode the curbs a bit too. Oh, or did he? Was somebody behind him maybe that gave him a helping hand there? Just got the glimpse of a car in the background. It's just about sums up his weekend. I think Dev Gore was the only driver behind him. Yes, that was, I think, the case. So that just about sums up Timo's weekend. Probably wishes he'd stayed at home, but maybe he's just got all his bad luck for the season out of the way. There is your race leader then, Marco Vittman, looking for his first win of the season, his first win for 2 years. BMWs in the DTM struggled a little bit last year, but Marco quite often dragged them up there, got it up onto the podium a few times. But up until yesterday, he'd never been in the top 6 here at Zolder. He finished 5th yesterday. He's never been on the podium at this circuit in the 3 weekends prior to this one that the DTM has been here over the last couple of years. But he might be about to launch himself straight onto the top step. If that's the case, he'll be the 5th different winner from the first 6 races of the season. But Lucas Auer fancies a piece of this, and he's been chipping and chipping and chipping away at the BMW, keeping him in sights, bringing the Mercedes of Max Gotts with him. And Liam Lawson looks like he might be a bit closer in the background as well. Is he? He did a 1:28.3 last time around. No, he's matching their times, but he's not really closing up. All in the 1:28.2s and 3s, that lead group. Muller, about him, he's got fresher tyres. He's just on a 1:27.4 for the 2nd lap running. So Muller is catching up to Lawson, but he is quite a long way back. He's about 6 seconds behind him. And time running out, so I'm not sure he's going to have time to catch up to the Ferrari. But anyway, it'll be a pretty good result for Nico after yesterday's disappointment. Anyway, they can see Nico just coming out of turn 4 in the background. So he's got more or less all of that back straight to try and make up in, what, 4.5 minutes plus 3 laps. It looks unlikely, doesn't it? On board with Liam Lawson in 4th place. Can he get another podium finish? He's trying, that's for sure. He's throwing the Ferrari all over the curbs here. Yeah, of course, the machine seems to be handling well. This talented 19-year-old who's dovetailing this with Formula 2 season this year. He's already been front runner and a race winner in that championship. The Red Bull backing, I think the future is bright for him, going up against some drivers with far more experience of these types of car than he, and doing an excellent job. So Max Gotts, who has become a GT specialist over the last few seasons, good to see him coming back into the DTM family. And looks like he is going to get his 2nd podium finish on the bounce after the win. Well, not on the bounce, but 2nd podium finish in 2 weekends after the win in round 4 at the Lausitz Ring. Marco Vittman, though, holding the lead for now, 0.7 of a second clear of Lucas Auer, who in turn is 0.7 of a second clear of Max Gotts. Liam Lawson, 1.6 seconds behind Max in 4th, 4.9 seconds ahead of Nico Muller in 5th. Nico, he's catching him fairly rapidly. You'll see him come into the shot in a minute in the background. I think he's just going to run out of time. He might close up pretty close to the Ferrari, but I'm not sure he's going to have time to attack him. So Liam, as much as anything, fighting to keep this 4th place as he is to try and catch the drivers ahead. Frustrating not to quite get onto the podium. Right on board with him, and you can see just how they throw the cars over the curbs through turns 8, 9 and 10 through Tellerman-Bocht, and then another link straight before they have another chicane to negotiate at Jochen Rindt. Now this gap looks to have come down, doesn't it? Lucas Sauer was 0.7 of a second behind, not so anymore. He was quicker through the first sector, he was a 10th quicker through the second sector, so he's squeezing the gap down. He's keeping the pressure up on Marco Vittman. There's Nico Muller trying desperately to get involved in this battle, but with time running out now, just over 2 minutes left on the clock. They come out to complete another lap. So in 1 minute and 28 seconds, they're going to get this lap in. The time will run out on the lap after that, and then there's 3 laps plus the 55. So it should be 5 laps to go, I reckon, including the one we've just started. 5 laps for Muller to catch up, 5 laps for Lawson to hold on to his 4th place. The gap is down to 4.1 seconds. So Lawson has got to stay on it here. Nico Muller set the absolute best middle sector on that previous lap. Did a 1:27.9, which was half a second. Sorry, 1:27.4, which was 0.8 of a second quicker than Liam Lawson. Alex Albon flying as well. He's done a 1:27.9. So Lawson coming under a bit of pressure. He should be okay, but Muller flying, fastest man on the track. Alex Albon second fastest on the track, which completely makes sense as they were 2 of the last to make their pit stops. Kelvin Van Der Linde not in the 1:27s, but of course he's stuck behind Philippe Ellis now in that 7th place. But still, to get some points out of this, from where he was at the start of the race, where he was after qualifying, I think Sheldon will be pretty happy with the way this has gone. Esteban Muth hanging on to the final points position at the moment, a second clear of the 11th place Mike Rockenfeller car. And through they come. Liam Lawson trying to get onto the tail of Max Gotts. Nico Muller coming bigger and bigger in the mirrors in the Team Rosberg Audi. And there, Alex Albon in 6th place as it stands in the Ferrari. 7th, but the drive-through penalty and looming over him and that mandatory pit stop, Philippe Ellis. So once that happens, Sheldon and Kelvin Van Der Linde should move up to 7th and 8th. Esteban Muth to 9th, and Mike Rockenfeller up into 10th place. And here, Sheldon Van Der Linde, who was right behind Philippe Ellis, gave him a little nudge for company coming out of the turn. Hurry up, he says. Want to get on with this. Philippe giving a little bit of assistance coming out of the corner. He's come into the pits as well now. So having served already his drive-through penalty, he's now serving his mandatory pit stop. So that's going to drop him out the order. Put Sheldon up to 7th, Kelvin up to 8th, Esteban moves up to 9th, and Mike Rockenfeller into the points now in 10th place. Book 11th, Hungerday at 12th. Esme Hawkey will equal her best result so far of the season. She's 13th at the moment. Right, Esteban, have you got any more tricks lined up in that Lamborghini? You're going to pull off some more moves. And what about Lucas Sauer? Still keeping the pressure up here on Marco Vittman as they make their way through the right-hander at turn 14. Coming up towards 15 and 16 now, the Jackie X-Bocht, and we've got Auer still within a 6 or 7/10 of a second, not really underneath the rear wing of the race leader, Marco Vittman. 1st, 2nd and 3rd come through. Lawson, I think he's going to be okay for 4th, but Nico Muller is still coming fast. The gap was 3 seconds on the previous lap. So through they come. And Marco Vittman into turn 2. Lucas Auer has got 5 seconds. It's going to be added onto his time. So that will put him 5.6 seconds down on the leader. It will put him behind Nico Muller as it stands. So that's another reason for Nico Muller to keep on pushing. Vittman leads. Gotts will move up to 2nd. Lawson will move up to 3rd. Muller, I reckon, is going to move up to 4th once this 5 seconds is added on, especially at the rate at which he's been catching the drivers ahead. And Philippe Ellis rejoined in 15th place. So Esme Hawkey 13th, Christian Klein 14th, Dev Gore 15th actually. Philippe Ellis has dropped behind him as well, so to the back of the field for Philippe with that extra pit stop. So there is Nico Muller, 5th on the road, 4.6 seconds behind Lucas Auer. So he's within range now to be ahead of him. So he's gained one position without doing anything here, but he still fancies his chances in the last few laps of the race of getting past Liam Lawson, or at least getting onto his tail. And that will be for the final podium position once the penalty is applied. So Marco Vittman, 0.6 of a second clear of Lucas Auer, 1.5 seconds clear of Max Gotz, 3.1 seconds clear of Liam Lawson, and 5.3 seconds clear through the previous split on Nico Muller. That gap is coming down all the time. Muller, quickest man on the track, absolutely flying, enjoying the car at the moment. So 127.5, that's more than half a second quicker than the group he's catching and chasing. 2 laps to go, including the one we're on now. There's 2 laps to go. Lucas Auer would dearly love to find a way past Marco Vittman and get his head down and pull away if he could, but that's not going to happen. Marco Vittman, he's quick enough. So add 5 seconds to Lucas Auer. That puts him 5.6 seconds down on the leader. Yes, it does put him behind Nico Muller, but he's still about 4.5 seconds clear with penalty added on of Alex Albon. So it will be Vittman, Gotz, Lawson, Muller, Auer, and then Albon, the top 6. If it stays like this, back on board with Nico Muller. He'll know about the penalty as well, I'm sure, so he'll know that the car ahead is the only one keeping him off the podium. Charging through, number 51, Nico Muller, runner-up in 2020, runner-up in DTM in 2019, a driver that gets better and better with each season. A new challenge for him this year. Started the year with a dual campaign racing in Formula E as well, but now fully concentrated on this DTM Championship. Over the line then comes Marco Vittman on to start the final lap of the race. In the background, Nico Muller is almost behind Liam Lawson's Ferrari. Just about a second or so adrift, less than that as they come through turn 1. The Ferrari kicks up a bit of dust in the background. Nico Muller has got better grip, better traction. He's able to turn into the corners easier, less understeer, and he's just taking a 100th of a second here, a 10th of a second there, and closing in on that Ferrari. But Liam's just got to defend for, well, less than a lap now. He's not yet having to really defend because Nico's not quite underneath him. Lucas Auer across the line second, but wind up down in behind Nico Muller in 5th place. Still a good result, but not what he would have hoped for. That's the team's infringement. Shaking the nose at the Ferrari there through that last chicane was Liam Lawson. He gets absolutely stud on the throttle there, and the car didn't like it, but he made it dance, he made it sing. Looking much smoother though, coming towards the end of this race is Marco Vittman. Not feeling the pressure, just soaking it up. He's been here many times before. He hasn't been here for a couple of years, but the man knows how to win a race. The man knows how to win a championship, and it's going to be victory here for Marco Vittman. It's going to be his 16th win in the DTM. Marco Vittman celebrated as he takes the win.
Guys, we won the DTM race. You guys won the DTM race. First DTM race for Vikings. Yeah! Thank you guys. Thanks for the great car. Awesome. Thank you.
I think he's quite pleased. Marco Vittman wins. He knows how to do it. It's the team's maiden victory, though, as he says. Volkenhaus coming into the championship for the first time, and they are already race winners as a team in their 3rd weekend in the DTM. They've got quite the drive, haven't they, with Marco Vittman. He bags the 25 points. He bags, as I say, 16th career win in the DTM. First win for the team. And with the corrected times, Max Gotz will take 2nd place, 1.7 seconds adrift. Liam Lawson will take another podium finish to make up for yesterday's disappointment. He gets 15 points for 3rd place. Nico Muller was only 0.7 of a second behind him at the line. Great charge from Nico in that last 7 or 8 laps. But it wasn't quite enough to get him onto the podium, but it was enough by some distance in the end to get him ahead of Lucas Auer, who with the 5 seconds added on drops from 2nd to 5th. Alex Albon in 6th place. Sheldon Van Der Linde 7th. That's a great return from where they started the race. Kelvin Van Der Linde in 8th. Esteban Mutu provided lots of entertainment once again, the Belgian, in 9th place. Mike Rockenfeller gets another point in 10th. Remember the 2 Audis with heavy weight on the cars as well, which made them struggle a little bit. With then 11th place to Max Buch, just outside the points. And then Daniel Hunkadeo 12th, Esme Hawkey equals her best in 13th, Christian Kleen 14th, Dev Gore 15th, Philip Ellis with that penalty 16th rather, and 17th place to Timo Glock with non-finishes for Sophia Florsch and Vincent Abril, and a non-start for Arjun Maini. So they're replaying the moment that we saw him back in business. Marco Vittman, controlled all the way from start to finish by the German, a 30-year-old from Fürth in southern Germany, and he lives about 20 kilometers away, grew up about 20 kilometers away from the Norris Ring, where we're going to be going for the final round of the season in mid-October. And well done to the team as well, because they've given him a great car this weekend. They've sorted out the problems in qualifying. It was already a quick race car, and they know they've got a great driver. Marco Vittman is a winner once again. Terrific drive by him. Max Gotts and Liam Lawson will join him on the podium, and from 6th on the grid, that's a good result for Liam as well. He'll pick up 15 points. Kelvin Van Der Linde in 8th place will only pick up 3 points, so he'll, I reckon, get the gap down, off the top of my head, from 32 points down to 20. So still 16 worse off than he was at the start of the weekend, but he's pulled some points back, crucially. They can see the rest of the runners. Max Boog, super sub for Gary Paffett for the start of the season, but all being well, from Gary's point of view, he should be back in the DTM from the Nürburgring onwards. But Max has certainly acquitted himself well, and I think will be welcomed back at some point into the DTM, because he's obviously a very capable driver. So cars parked up. There he is, Marco Vittman, climbs up onto the top of the Volkenhurst BMW and cheers them all on. That's a sight we've been robbed of for a couple of years, but he's back. And who knows, if they can string a few results together, he might just be a championship contender. This man certainly is. Liam Lawson, disappointment yesterday, but he's kept his cool, he's bounced back, and he's got another podium finish to add to the 2 podiums he scored at the Lausitz Ring and the race win he got at Monza. And he's clawed, crucially, quite a lot of points back on Kelvin Van Der Linde. And Max Gotts, absolutely a championship contender as well. He's up to 3rd place in the standings. Very happy, Marco Vittman. Giving the camera some love there. Well, we knew he'd win again at some point. We knew it was coming soon. We weren't sure it was going to be this weekend at Zolder, especially after free practice 1, where the BMWs didn't look that quick, but they got it right in the end, and they got it absolutely right. The Maxi Gotts fan club is there as well. German drivers finishing 1st and 2nd, and you can see absolutely what it means to Marco, to the team, to everybody that's supporting him. This race victory will be one of the sweetest, I think, for the 2014 and 2016 champion, because it's been a long time coming. 2 years between race wins. But you can't keep a good man down. And the 30-year-old is going to be enjoying the top step of the podium soon. Not on the podium, but with a very good drive still. Lucas Auer, not really his fault, the 5-second penalty, but just one of those things. It's a team sport, and you win together, you lose together. It's not a bad result. It's 5th place, but he wanted to be on that podium, wanted to be in 2nd place. But instead, Max Gotts is promoted to 2nd, Liam Lawson promoted to 3rd. They'll be joining Marco Vittman on the podium. Grabs a swig of water. It's not a boiling hot day, but it's still very hot in those cars. You can add about 20 degrees to the ambient temperature when you're in a race car. 101 points for Kelvin Van Der Linde. Liam Lawson 80, so he's 21 behind. Max got 72, catching up. He's only 8 points behind Liam Lawson. Marco Vittman up to 4th in the standings on 67 points now. Alex Albon on 54, and Philip Ellis dropping down to 6th place in the championship standings. Well, the rain held off. The sun even made a breakthrough. We had a pretty wet start to the weekend on Friday, but the unpredictable Belgian weather has been fairly kind to the DTM in the end and given us some really good close racing. Getting ready for the drivers to be brought up onto the podium. We, of course, are going to have the top 3 drivers, plus, of course, the representative of Volkenhorst, the race-winning team.
With the number 3 of this 6th round. It's number 30
So they're being announced up onto the podium, and a familiar sight because here comes Liam Lawson, who knows his way to the podium in DTM this year. It's the 4th time in 6 races Liam has made it onto the podium. First time he's finished in 3rd place. 2nd place goes to Max Gotts, race winner at the Lausitz Ring. Points in both races here today. 3rd in the championship, looking good for Max Gotts. Next up, we'll get the winning representative of the winning team, Volkenhorst. It's going to be Julian Mack, who's the chief engineer, and he heads up now to the podium. They'll be getting a trophy. Their first winning trophy as a team, Volkenhorst, so great job by them. And the driver that gave them the victory is Marco Vittman. He is brought up, called up to the podium, and he'll be absolutely leaping onto that top step, I suspect. A huge cheer from the team and his fans. Marco Vittman, a race winner once again in the DTM. And he will now have a very proud moment because he's about to hear the German national anthem.
Thank you.
The German national anthem plays here at Zolder in Belgium for the winning team and the winning driver, Volkenhorst and Marco Vittman. Time for the trophy presentation. They'll have photos as well. They raise aloft these trophies, these very distinctive trophies. Gold is the colour in this Olympic week for the race winner, Marco Vittman. Max Gotts and Liam Lawson will join him on the top step of the podium. And they'll now pose for the photos, and once that formality is complete, you'll then get the champagne spray for the final time this weekend. Who's going to win the final race of the weekend then? Are they going to go for it? Well, kind of, half-heartedly. Not as quick as yesterday, I have to say. Liam Lawson gets it open first. Marco's a bit too slow to react there, and so he gets it both angles, right in the face, right in the ear. And Max Gotts is staying well clear of it. Look, Lawson's got caught now as well, so Max Gotts has come out of this best. Shouldn't care though, because he's our race winner again. 5th different winner of the season. Congratulations to Marco Vittman. Liam Lawson then 2nd in the championship, a very valuable 15 points. Points clawed back on Kelvin Van Der Linde. He's back to within a race win's worth of points now of the championship leader, 21 adrift. Max Gotts, he moved up to 3rd place in the standings yesterday, closing the gap at the top of the table as well, with a very well-earned 18 points. He was on the pace all weekend long. But Marco Vittman, perhaps the surprise package of the weekend, qualifying 3rd yesterday, a great drive to 5th, even better today. Pole position, race win, 25 points in the race, 3 points in qualifying. The perfect day for the 2014-2016 champion. And the moment he celebrated with a face full and a mouthful of champagne. There'll be some celebrations with the team as well. Great job by Volkenhorst Motorsport. First of perhaps many wins to come in the DTM. So Marco Vittman, an absolutely perfect day here in the sunshine at Zolder. We can hear now down in the pit lane with Verena.
What a brilliant race, what a fantastic time. Your fans, we can already hear them. Congratulations, your first win since 2 years, so you've got to be absolutely thrilled.
Definitely, I mean, the whole weekend was just great for us. Obviously, when we came here, we never expected to be that strong, but the package was from Friday on was super strong. My guys at Volkenhorst, they did an amazing job. And obviously the pole position was the key already for today. And then, yeah, to try to finish the race on P1, and obviously we did it. So yeah, amazing work from all of them. I'm super happy and proud really to be on P1. It's just amazing.
You've won a lot of times before in DTM, but for Walkenhorst for the first time, so that's probably a very proud moment too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for them it's actually just the 5th race in DTM, you know. And for them, there are quite some features new, like the pit stops. They usually do the long endurance races, the long pit stops. Usually, they are not that experienced with these very quick pit stops, and they did an amazing job. No falls at all yet. And yeah, I mean, to win in your 5th race of DTM already, I think that there they can be really proud of, and I'm proud of them as well.
And they're very lucky to have you. Thank you very much, Marco. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And back to you.
Absolutely right, Verena. They are lucky to have him. He's a terrific driver. I've been following his career since his teenage years when he was a forerunner in the European Formula 3 Championship, then on the support bill to the DTM. First met him at Brands Hatch, and he's a really good guy. He's a brilliant driver, and you listen to the radio calls that you get throughout the course of a weekend, the feedback that he gives the team as to the handling of the car is top class. So I think he really helped that team develop this car with all of his knowledge as well. Very calm driver as well. He never seems to get really very often wound up or angry. He just soaks it all up, keeps his determination, and even if he's battling for 8th or 9th place, he'll be giving it 100%. So a great day for Marco Vittman. He's not the only driver celebrating a good result, though. We can hear from Verena back down in the winner's circle.
I'm here with Liam Lawson. Liam, another podium for you, and especially now, I guess, after the disappointment yesterday, you've got to be happy to be on the podium today.
Yeah, really happy for the points. Like you said, after yesterday's race, it was pretty disappointing. So I'm happy to be on the podium and take some points back to Kelvin, you know, in the lead, because we definitely lost a few points this weekend, which is not ideal. I'm a little bit disappointed as well. I think we were fighting for the lead there coming out of the pits. Just missed a little bit of pace on those further laps that we did in that first stint, and that cost us a couple of seconds. So, but happy with the points, happy to be on the podium after yesterday.
And also you're second in the championship, so obviously, you know, you've still got a lot of time to chase up to Kelvin, so that's good.
Yeah, plenty of rounds left, and honestly, it's not worth focusing too much on that, but it is nice to, obviously every weekend you go in just trying to grab as many points as possible, so it's nice to have done that today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Back to you.
You know you've got a proper racing driver on your hands when they're happy-ish with 3rd place, but think, you know, I could have won that. We could have won that if we'd just done this, just done that. They're always looking for more, and that is because he's a race winner. And Liam Lawson very much still in this championship fight. It's a long way to go. We've had 3 rounds of 8 now, so next time out in 2 weeks' time, we'll be going to the Nürburgring and back to Germany, and that will be, after that weekend, the halfway point in the season before the Red Bull Ring, Assen, Hockenheim, and the Norris Ring to come. Hope you enjoyed our coverage of the race weekend from the commentary box. That's me, Chris Hartley, signing out, but I'll hand you back to Verena to close out the show. Bye for now.
And a man who fought really hard coming from P8 to P2 is Maxi Götz. Congratulations, what a fantastic race for you. And I can't see your smile, but I can guess you're smiling from one ear to the other.
Yeah, that's true, so I'm smiling like a monkey. I drove like a monkey yesterday, or it was not a perfect day for us. We did some mistakes. We dropped back from 2nd to 8th. And today it was opposite. We did everything right. I had a good sleep tonight, and we went from 8 to 2. So this is quite awesome for the whole team. Did a great job. So our racing team did a mega job, and I think we improved a lot the car from yesterday to today, and we showed a great performance, and that's the outcome. So you never give up, and then you are on the podium.
Yeah, maybe you should keep that in your head for the next time. Always sleep well, and then hopefully you're up on the podium.
Yeah. So of course I try to follow my secrets and to do find my rhythm on the weekend. Of course, sometimes it's against you. Sometimes you are just on the wrong position on the start, for example. Yesterday I was on the outside, today I was on the inside, and this was a big gain for us in the first laps. And in the end, the race is long and demanding for brakes and the tires, and we could control it quite well today. And seeing the team are happy, I'm happy, and the championships gets even tighter now and exciting for the fans.
Absolutely, you did a great job. Thank you so much, Maxi. And that's it from us here in Zolder, and we're looking forward to seeing you very, very soon for the next DTM round. Can't wait. So till then, here are the highlights. Enjoy and see you next time. Bye-bye.